How do you get to 130 million?
It's a simple concept. You work, you make money, you work harder, you make more money, you work smarter, you make more money.
You gonna hear this crazy shit?
I'm not sure what I got myself into with the podcast being called The Boom Room.
Welcome to the Boom Room Unfiltered. Today we have a special guest, Roman Sharf, CEO of LuxuryBazaar, and our very own Loretta Stark. Thanks for coming.
I don't know what the hell I just got myself into. Boom Room, never mind.
Unfiltered is the key word.
Let's get to
business. Let's get to business. So, Mr. Roman Sharf. So, a little bit about Roman. Roman's a close friend, and anytime we talk about real estate, business, life, we have a very routine conversation pretty much daily, I would think.
Let me rephrase that. So, yes, I am a very good friend of Josephbograd's and Loretta's. However, I'm also the reason why we're sitting here doing this podcast. And Joey has a YouTube channel and took his marketing to the next level. Something that Loretta's been asking me for years, and it took me 4 years to actually convince him. I don't know if he's shy or what, or camera. He was a little camera shy.
It's taken me a year to become more confident on the camera. But I've come a long way.
His first couple of videos.
Well, because we fixed your fucking stutter.
My stutter?
You stutter when you...
I don't stutter.
Oh, okay.
No, I don't stutter.
You stuttered a little bit.
When you were first on camera, you stuttered.
His first video was...
Is this the Josephbograd roast? Is that what this is?
Yep, between the stuttering and the broken English, it was hard.
First of all, again, I just want to reiterate, I'm not sure what I got myself into with the podcast being called The Boom Room.
How did you go from starting out as a busboy to growing to a $130 million company?
I cleaned a lot of tables.
Tables.
It's funny when I'm first generation immigrant here. You were born here. Your parents came here from the Soviet Union. And it's like, when you come from a place that has no opportunity, a place that really you don't really have anything going for you, the government pretty much controls everything. At 13, you think, well, you're a kid, you don't think that way. Well, over there, let's just say we grew up a little bit faster. Right? An average 13-year-old from the Soviet Union is not the average 13-year-old in America due to some of the other shit that you deal with on a daily basis. But when I got here, in the back of my head, I said, okay, I'm in a land of opportunity. Right? This is the golden land. Although when I landed, it was weird because, if you know the drive from JFK to Brooklyn, it's a bit of a gray drive. I was expecting skyscrapers and paved streets. And
you didn't come through Eagle Pass?
No.
Oh, okay.
Eagle Pass, is not my thing. But speaking of which, I have a guy that works for me. He's a Canadian. It took us thousands of dollars.
Don't you know?
Thousands of dollars and off topic, thousands of dollars and time to get him a 3-year working permit. And I'm at a point where I'm just thinking I'm going to send him to Tijuana for a week to party and have him swim over. I'm thinking. Anyway, back to Soviet Union and me coming over here. So I was expecting gold paved streets, skyscrapers, and so on and so forth. Didn't see that. It was a bit gray. Brooklyn is a little bit gray. But nevertheless, in the back of my head, so I was thinking, okay, now you can do something. Actually, the first thing I ever did was I found out you can get 5 cents for a can in Brooklyn. Mm-hmm. And I went out, collected a bunch of those cans, and I gave them in, and I got enough money to buy. Well, back then it was a little bit cheaper. We're talking about I got 2 slices of pizza, a soda, and I still have money left over. I had like $5, which was great. And look, I just never really looked back, right? Because it's a simple concept. You work, you make money, you work harder, you make more money, you work smarter, you make more money, and you continue on. So it went from busboying, waitering to I drove a bagel truck at night.
Oh, like Knish.
Like
Knish from Rounders.
Yeah, Knish, the bagel truck.
There you go. So I drove a bagel. I did construction. I did roofing. I did all types of plumbing. I did every job under the sun you can think of. I've been that. I didn't shy away from everything that allowed me to make an income. And then when I turned 18, because I'm a patriot of this country, I said, you know what? The least I owe to this country for taking me in is to serve. So I went to serve in the military.
How many years?
3 years.
3 years.
Just under 3 years. I went to interesting places, got to meet interesting people and kill them. It was a wonderful time. And with that said, post-military, college in the military, college post-military, went for engineering. Of course, computer programming was blowing up. This is pre-year 2000. And, so I swung sort of the computer science way because it just paid more. Coming out as an electrical engineer, which is super hard to study, by the way, if anybody knows. I was stood to make, at the time, maybe about $35,000 a year. Coming out as a programmer and getting that job, I made $50,000. Mm-hmm. And that went on and on and on. And then an opportunity fell on your head, right? It fell on my head, I should say. And that opportunity was a gentleman approaching me saying, Roman, all this computer stuff. I'm like, it's a little bit more complex. At the time, I was a VP at Deutsche Bank.
Right.
And, I was taking care of global local payment systems, 4 data centers across the world, 20 million in hardware, trade finance, all that stuff, $42 billion in monthly transactions. So it was a little bit more complex than known computers, but also timing. E-commerce was just being born, right? Via eBay, threw a few watches on eBay, did it as a part-time gig for 3 years.
So that was my question. Like, all of a sudden, you have
Where
interest
did
in
the
watches.
jewelry and the watches come in?
Exactly.
This guy.
Like,
You're saying
so
this
This
guy.
is the guy. It literally, the opportunity
This is
literally
the
fell
guy.
on top of my head. But mind you, at the time, I'm already making, we're going back 20 some years. I'm making 125 grand a year.
That's a lot.
That was a lot 20 years ago, right? So I got to where I got fast in terms of corporate. And again, the job that I had at Deutsche Bank, never mind that I commute, because like, oh, great, you got this great corporate gig. 2 hours
What
each
bank?
way. Deutsche
Bank.
Like
he calls
German?
it Deutsche Bank.
George, yeah.
Deutsche and Deutsche.
Deutsch.
Deutsche Bank.
Potato.
Okay.
Yeah, boom, boom.
Deutsche Bank.
Anyway, so to get to where I got in Deutsche Bank, it also took a lot of hard work. It also took a daily commute of 2 hours each way. So 4 hours of my day was spent on commuting, and the job was not a 40 hour a week job. You know, because I talk about this and people are like, oh, he got a nice gig and this, that, and the other. I got to where I got by working hard there, by making my name for myself. Unfortunately, I made a name for myself at that bank when 9/11 happened. Our office was World Trade Center 4 and 130 Liberty Place right across the street. And there was some certain issues that happened in the bank, and I stepped up and I did what I needed to do. I helped out greatly. People took notice around the bank, higher ups, and I got to where I got because of what I did. But even still, it's something in the back of my head saying, am I really fully taking full opportunity of
capabilities?
Yeah, and it's not like I stood still. I had a cell phone business on the side that I was doing. There were other things that I was doing. Side hustles and so on and so forth. And mind you, this is all from a job that probably demanded 100 hours of my time a week. This is the 20 hours of commute, the 40 regular hours plus other hours.
It's like working for him. Yeah,
pretty much. So, it's not, is it the luck of the draw? Is it God? Maybe I can attest some to that, but that doesn't mean I just sat there and I won the lottery, right? So it took a lot of hard work to get to where I got. And when I had to be very conscious of, going the route of working for myself, because I had just gotten married. I had a child. We bought a new house. And it was like, okay, I ensured that the income that the business was bringing me consistently for 6 months was 1.5 of what I was making at the bank, just to give myself a cushion. And that's when I said, okay, I'm done, full-time, open an office, let's go full-fledged into it. And here we are.
So did you partner with that original guy? Like, I don't know this whole backstory.
No,
as long as I've known you, I don't know.
The original guy was never my partner. There were 2 separate companies. He was the guy that brought stuff to me.
And you uploaded
here's
it
your
for
cost.
him.
I did whatever I did. I made money. I paid him what was owed to him, and that was it.
So is he now a competitor?
No. I think he's semi-retired now.
Okay.
So here we are. But a lot of trials and tribulations along the way, both in my corporate career as well as my business career. And again, it doesn't happen overnight. It takes hard work, a lot of hours, good people around you, a lot of failure in between too. A lot of things along the way. How about the 2008 crisis?
Oh yeah,
that was a fucking shit show
for us too.
For you, just the same.
For us too. I mean, what about the COVID crisis? Also,
so this is my quick 5-minute I love me story.
How do you get to 130 million?
There was a lot of stretching. There was a lot of risk, right? And there was a lot of transactions that took place that today I wouldn't even do because they're too high risk, right? What happened was there was a period in time, because I started the company as a retail-facing company, took advantage of e-commerce, grew a customer base on the retail end of things, and then I ran into someone in the industry. He's like, "Why aren't you doing trade shows?" I'm like, "What's that?" He's like, wholesale, B2B. There's all these trade shows that happen every month. There's a lot of business. You can go there. You can do $500,000 in business in one day, $1 million in business in one day. This is at a time where.
So, question for you, based on that. Nowadays, you still go to trade shows, right?
Seldomly.
Okay, but you still go, and you were going a lot more, but you still go.
We used to do 20 trade shows a year, as close as New York and as far as Hong Kong.
So my question to you is this: why do people need to go to an actual show in Hong Kong, where in this day and age with e-commerce, people and connections, you can say, Roman, I'm in Japan, I'm in Hong Kong.
I'm gonna give you another one.
Okay.
So on a daily basis, my DMs blow up, emails, and so on and so forth. And then one of the most common questions that people ask me, they're like, I want to get into the industry. I love what you do. And this is 15-year-old kids and 6-year-old men.
We get
the same thing, right? I want to do what you do. Well, let me ask you a question. What's the one advice? If it was just one, I'm a kid that's just reached out to say, Joe, I've been watching and following you for a while. I love what you do. I want to do what you do. Give me one advice. Just one.
Well, I mean,
new.
you're
I
going
got
to
my
have
license.
to drop evering and do this.
You can't do it part-time.
Yeah,
You
you're
do
going to have to
full-time.
drop everything
So
and
you're
do
going to say you
this.
can't do it part-time.
Right.
Correct.
What I tell people, because again, I get 1,000 of these, so I'm
Yeah.
not going to sit here and write paragraphs about this. 3 words. Attend some trade shows.
Okay.
4 or 3 words. 10 trade
Well,
shows.
you don't have really trade shows in our industry, but you're
I mean,
But here's what,
Conventions.
and this is my test to anybody I answer to see what their response is going to be.
Mm-hmm.
If these guys are going to be like, which trade show, what should this, forget it. If you can't Google and this,
Yeah,
that,
you do
but
research.
the idea is not attending trade shows physically. The idea is you put yourself, if you're in a business where you're buying and selling, you put yourself in an environment where the product that you're interested in buying and
It's right
selling
there.
is traded at high volume, preferably B2B.
Mm-hmm.
What do you get there? You get information. You can go to trade shows. There's 250 dealers there. You can go from showcase to showcase. Each showcase has 50 to 100 to 200 watches, whoever, right? And you can ask pricing. In fact, if you're smart enough, you can walk the trade show and actually make $5,000 in a day just by walking around and buying and selling within the trade show.
Yeah, yeah.
Right?
Start at the beginning.
But the idea is put yourself in an environment where the product you're buying and selling is traded at high volume. That doesn't necessarily mean a trade show. It can be 47th Street, the Diamond District. There's a jewelry district in LA, Chicago, all the major
Everywhere,
metropolitan
yeah.
areas have them. So that's the idea behind that. But the idea for me to go into wholesale also happened based on conversation. Why aren't you doing trade shows? My response was, what the fuck do I need trade shows for? I don't need to sit there and sell to other dealers and this, that, and the other. And that's before I knew what wholesale
What it
entailed.
was, yeah.
And I'm like,
So explain. I'm sorry to interrupt you. Explain to I know what wholesale means. So does Loretta. But somebody that's watching today, what's the difference between
it's
wholesale?
B2B versus B2C. It's
Okay,
that
so
simple.
what-
it's not like, oh, here's 100 watches at a time I'm selling. It can be one
Right.
watch.
Correct.
The difference is B2B, B2C.
Okay, so explain what B2B and B2C means.
So business to business.
Okay.
Instead of
I'm selling
business to
another
consumer.
person in the industry,
Right.
or business to consumer, which I'm selling to the end user who's not reselling it.
I've noticed when we use acronyms, we get questions like, what does that mean?
Well, that's
So,
why-
I mean, when you talk the talk every day,
People don't understand
People don't-
technically what wholesale
Yeah.
and retail
I'm-
means. So
I'm
that's
with
why
you.
I want to make sure that
I'm
people
with
understand.
you.
Yeah.
So I go back to the conversation of, hey, you should do trade shows, and I'm like, I don't really need them. People call my office, send me an email. I take payment, put it in the bag, it's all done. What do I need to do all this stuff? There's costs involved, of course.
Yeah.
There's trade
Overhead.
shows, and it's like, yeah, let's give it a shot. So at the time I started doing trade shows, I think our biggest year was 11 million in revenue at the time, and
Just the trade show business.
no. This is just our business. Our
okay,
business.
okay.
My business, it grew fairly quick because it went, when I was doing this stuff part-time for the first 3 years out of my basement, as I like to say, and I literally was doing it out of my basement, it was, 1 million, 2 million, 2.8 million. And then the 11 million came in when I started doing it full-time. First year when I did 12 trade shows, for the first 6 shows, I did 0 business. Because when you go to these shows, first of all, you got to adjust pricing. You got to buy better because you got to sell a little cheaper. So it took a little
that's
bit.
more your learning curve.
It's a learning curve, right? And that's what you pay. You pay to play, all right?
So question for you.
And I was at a show. Listen, that very last show, the same guy that told me to come to the show, I told him, I said, you know what? I'm not doing this shit anymore. We're traveling. We're spending money. We're not making any money. This is bullshit. I'm not doing it. He was like, trust me, it takes time. And I was about to quit right there and then. And I said, you know what? Let me do one more. And I had
Right.
a great show. I did over $1 million in business in one
show.
in 2 days, right?
So the question I was asking is this. You're going in there, you're new to the business, you're just building a name for yourself. Where's the inventory coming from? Because you can't afford to have 3, 4, 5 million in inventory, right?
No. At that point, my inventory levels were hovering around $1 million
Okay.
versus about 40 today. Big difference, right? So going in there, it's like you sit there and you work with what you have, right? The beautiful part about it is that I ended up doing that next following show, and I had a great show. I said, you know what? I get it.
You get up and down.
But what I also did is I analyzed as to why all of a sudden I had that good show. And I went back to the last 6 trade shows. This is a 6 month time span, right?
Okay.
I went back and I analyzed what I did and didn't do in the last 6 shows, and what is it that I did differently this time? What are the contexts that finally paid off? Because people see your face from time to time. And I also realized how easy it is to get fucked in our business. And those trade shows, you better come wearing bulletproof underwear because these guys are all sharks in there, right? And I'm still fairly young in the business. So what that did is that year, the following 6 shows that I did, that year propelled us to $33 million in business. Not just strictly from wholesale, but obviously our retail went up because with wholesale, what the very comment that I made, I said, what do I need this shit for? I realized is that the money is not in the sell, the money is in the buy. Much like in your industry, you always tell me, if you don't have inventory, you're not going to be successful. I think you're the most successful in the area because you have the inventory.
Inventory is key,
right?
100%.
And that's what's key. You're concentrating on the buy, meaning signing up people to sell houses through you rather than actually selling them, because they will sell them themselves once you have years in the business and so on and so forth, right?
Right.
A very similar situation, just a different product, houses versus watches. So that year we jumped up to 33. We continued doing wholesale. We took it to the next level. We opened up an office in Hong Kong. We started doing the Hong Kong trade shows 3 times a year. Those trade shows you can do up to 5 to 6 million. I think our record trade show in Hong Kong was we did $8.5 million in a week. It's a 5-day show. That's a week, right? So think about it, right? Granted, it cost me $100,000 to land, so it's not like
there's costs.
The costs involved are very, very expensive. Like literally, the day I landed, I was minus $100,000.
So I guess that's my question. Why do you need to actually physically, right now in today's day and age with all the technology, I understand, 20 years ago when you were getting into the business, you're a lot of new faces, e-commerce is just getting started. Now,
he's saying why you got to go.
Now I'm part of 1,000 WhatsApp groups where the stuff is traded on a daily.
Yeah.
Now there's Facebook groups, there's direct contact. We have a wholesale website where dealers can log on and look at the stuff. But let me say you something. In your business, real estate, how many fucking dinosaurs do you know?
A lot.
That barely learned how to text last week.
A lot.
How many dinosaurs that you know that they don't even know what Facebook is?
Yep.
100% to this day, yeah.
Exactly. How many dinosaurs do you know that can't put together a PowerPoint presentation?
No. Or sign a simple DocuSign.
What is it? The DocuSigns?
Yeah.
And you send people docs, they're like, what is this? They have no idea how to do it.
You still got to old school, print it out. Yep.
And those are the clients that are coming.
So here's, you have to understand something. Every industry has generations, right? Mm-hmm. Me, you, Loretta, social, computers, it's second nature.
Right.
There's guys out there that are still dinosaurs, and those tend to be some of the bigger guys, the guys that have been in business longer.
Makes sense.
Also, there's the international barrier. How much I go to Hong Kong shows to buy sometimes. You know how I buy? I pull out my calculator on my phone.
Yeah.
Like literally like that, right?
Yeah.
There's that, right? And again, this is an international business. Especially you get out to Hong Kong, you have all of Middle East that comes there. You have a lot of Europeans, and you have all of Asia. And when I say Asia, it's not just China.
No,
China,
it's all
Indonesia, Singapore. Name an Asian country, they all converge on this one big show. The convention center, actually, our guys are there now selling jewelry. Convention center in Hong Kong, take our convention center, multiply by 5. If you wanted to walk the entire convention center,
we take
the show is 5 days. No, if you wanted to stop at every booth and spend a minute, it'd take you a month.
Jesus.
That's how huge it is, right?
Wow.
So the wholesale thing is what propelled my company to be $100 million company. I had a goal in the back of my head. I said, I want to hit the marker of $100 million in sales, right? But it came at a cost. It came at a cost to where I did hit that $100 million. I was 85% wholesale and 50% retail. So one was taken away. Now, at the end of the day, you'd say, who cares? You're making money, you got the revenue, the company's growing, but what's not growing is a product. Think of it this way. If I were to take my company at that very moment and try to go to sell it to somebody, they'd be like, this is not a business, this is not a product. Your name is not worth anything. You're just a wholesaler.
Right.
And the light at the end of the tunnel for any wholesaler, I don't care what you're selling, is you grow over time. Majority of growth ends up in your inventory. Your inventory grows. That's where your net worth sits, right? And then you end up selling that stuff off on pennies on a dollar. When you want to liquidate it, you retire and sell off into the sunset. So this is when, before COVID hit, I said, you know what, we need to stop, because there were other negative things. The positives was the money, the quick money, the ability to grow your inventory. But at this highest, I had $28 million in receivables at one time in my company. You know how well you sleep at night when people owe you $28 million? Not very.
No, because they owe you money.
Over 5 years, I wrote off probably $2.2 million worth of bad debt expense. This is people going bad. This is just fucking you, basically. I had a guy die in a plane crash. I had another guy also pass away, God forbid, from cancer. What I'm going to call his widow and tell him, you owe me
$30,000 for a watch? Right.
You're not going to do that, because you're now giving terms. As you're giving terms, in order to be able to give the terms, you got to get terms somewhere, because cash is king, right? So now you're taking terms. So now if somebody owes you 28, you owe somebody else 20.
Right.
Trickle effect. And the trick and the rule of thumb is you get paid a lot slower than you need to pay yours. So constant money problems now, right?
Catching up.
Not money problems, but cash flow problems, right? So it did come with quite a few negatives. So I said, I've had enough of this. I'm done. So what do? We're going to go retail facing again. go back to our roots and flip the script. The plan was to do it over 2 years. COVID hits. That was a fucking blessing in the sky because everything went. It stopped for 3-4 months. We were all scared shitless.
And
we were gonna
everybody
go out
was
of business.
bored buying online anyway.
We thought we were going to go all out of business, and then oh shit, and then the wheel just started spinning at
For
speed.
us too. For us too.
Yeah.
Same with you, right?
Yeah.
So we all took a shit in the beginning, and
We
then
all
3
took a
months later,
shit.
like holy shit, this is a
Yeah,
blessing.
we're all ready
right?
to kill ourselves.
So it literally happened instantly. Now we are 85% retail, about 15% wholesale, but I now use wholesale for getting rid of aging inventory. Or if I have a dealer that really needs something and he's willing to pay me the same price I would sell it to a retail customer, go
Okay.
ahead. Of course, I still have old relationships. Of course, I still wholesale to my old wholesale clients that, done $5 to $6 million in business with me a year.
Yeah.
It's a huge client.
They got grandfathered in.
You know what I mean? So yes, there's still that B2B. I find a happy medium between that. It's the ability to now have, going into the retail space with the ability of pretty much knowing every dealer under the sun all over the world gives you such an advantage that, the retail part of it became easy. And came question of marketing. Because the marketing we used to do before was the traditional shit, the shit they used to do. I told you to stop. The pay-per-clicks, the ads, the this, the that, bullshit.
And that's what my next question was going to be. I know that when we were going to yoga in the gym, 4 or 5 years ago, I saw you were started building your Instagram. And I'm like, what is this guy doing? I couldn't understand for the life of me. What is he doing? He's posting. And I was posting on Facebook, but he kept on saying, this is the new, this is the reality, this is the new trend, Instagram. And all of a sudden he attained 50, 100, 100,000. And all of a sudden, I started mimicking what he was doing and it started working. But only when I saw him take on the YouTube, that huge elephant.
YouTube was a huge explosion because think of it from, don't say YouTube. Think of it this way. Here you have a business. How long?
My question is, why did you go that? This is what
I'm going to answer you.
Yeah, okay. Go
Why
ahead.
YouTube and why go that route?
Yeah.
Why get rid of pay-per-click and pay Google, which doesn't pay for itself for the most time?
No.
Why pay for ads? Why do all that?
Zillow.
I think you're fraudulently paying for air.
Yeah.
Now, you mentioned a couple of things, and they all add up to the same thing. So here's your conventional e-commerce marketing, right? There's SEO, driving traffic to your website, keywords, backlinks, all that beautiful stuff that every SEO company under the sun will tell you. Send you a $10,000 bill at the end of the month, and you don't really see the results because they're kind of up in the air, right?
No. Because you're battling against Zillow and these behemoths.
Exactly, and those guys are spending that kind of money because they have the money to spend. Because every month you pay them a fee,
Right.
and a million other people like
It's
you.
disgusting.
I said this, brand name recognition, right? And by doing that, I said, okay, we have the rapport of being in a business for so many years, but a lot of people make the mistakes and get complacent. How long have you been doing this?
23 years.
If I finally didn't make you fucking do YouTube and more social and short form content and all those things that are actually trending today, you think anybody out there that doesn't know would give two fucks that you've been in business for 20 years? They wouldn't know.
No, it'd be a local market would know, and that's about
Thank you.
it.
So
Yeah.
with that said, what do? You go the brand name recognition route. People are interesting characters. There's certain Netflix shows that I watch, Hulu, you name it, right? And when I watch a show, there's characters I love, there's characters I hate.
Right.
I fall in love with characters, or I hate certain characters, but I still watch them both, right? So what you do is you put your people out there on camera in a way where, they're watching you, they're watching your life, they're watching your work because they're interested in what you do. They're interested in real estate, they're interested in watches, they're interested in socks. It doesn't really matter, right? But at the end of the day, what you create is you create a following around yourself that is interesting to see what you do. And those people, whether they're ready to buy a house today, 5 years from now, or a watch, when they think of doing that, they're only going to think of you
Right.
or your people that are part of that same show, right? Now, there's downsides, there's the haters, there's this, but it doesn't matter, right? Some of the comments you got about your knees, I love those. They're my favorite comments.
My knees?
His knees.
Oh, yeah, I was going to say, your knees are terrible.
And the tight jeans. The tight jeans is my
tight jeans,
favorite.
yes.
Right? But I looked at all of that and I said, okay, well, you got to start somewhere. We didn't start with a reality TV type of show.
No.
Right.
What do? I said, okay, I can tell people all I want that I've been doing this for 20 years. Or at that point, it was, I guess, 16 years or whatever. And that I've been online for so many, many, many years. But now I have to look at the fact that there's 10,000 other websites like mine. And you can't differentiate between the one that's been in business for 10,000 years or the one that's been in business for 3 days.
Right.
A guy
A website's a website.
a backpack dealer out of a basement like I started can have just as gorgeous of a website as you, because right now it's not expensive to do that anymore.
Right.
Because e-commerce was cost prohibitive in the beginning when you had to write your own website. Now it's not anymore. Go to Shopify, 3 clicks, you have a fucking website. So what do? We started with the educational stuff. What's on My Desk was my first show. And after 20 episodes, people are watching like, oh shit, this guy really knows what he's talking about. He's been doing this for quite some time. And I wasn't just talking about, oh, look how pretty this watch is and this is what it does.
No, you were doing
out there. I was
yeah.
talking about market values. I was talking about pricing. I was talking about things that people don't normally hear. Oh my God, I can't believe he gave me that information. I would tell him what I paid for the watch, right? I would tell them how much money I would make.
And that's what people want to know. They want to know the behind the scenes.
Of course, they want to know that. That translated into a Q&A to the tune of 160 episodes. And then we started Gray Market, which is literally taking the curtains apart. And this is what I do on a daily basis. This is what goes down. And people took a look. But again, even still today, that's already getting stale because 10,000 other people are doing it now.
Well, that's the whole thing, is that when I talk with Mayank and Loretta and the rest of the team, I'm like, what do we need to do to stay relevant? I don't want to get complacent. I don't want to get redundant. I feel like this is great. People are watching us. They're interested in how the negotiations take place. But eventually that's going to get boring because it becomes everybody's going to start doing
I'm dealing with that in Gray Market. Right now I'm seeing my views coming down. Mm-hmm. And I was like, well, what's the problem here? Well, we're creating better and better content.
Right.
But I'm also realizing there's too many people already entered the space.
Right.
And again, you if you look at a platform like YouTube or Instagram or whatever else, you have to look at how many of the same people are in that same space,
tons,
versus how many eyes are looking at this, right?
Right.
And when the one side outweighs the other, supply and demand, right?
Yep.
Right.
This is when you have to reinvent yourself, and this is when you have to, and that's the constant battle. I don't have the answer to that. This is something that goes on every single week in my marketing departments, right? Right now, I feel that dedicated short form content, not stuff that we normally like shorts that we cut out of from our YouTube videos, the long format. Dedicated short form content is the shit right now.
That's what we've been doing, and that's
if you notice that video I did in regards to what does a watch mean to you?
What does a watch mean to you?
Good sound, good lighting, beautiful video shots. It's more cinematography like rather than just off the fly on your phone. That seems to work. We're going to try that. But the bottom line is, and when people ask me like, well, what the fuck's the secret to this marketing, especially you're talking about social media marketing, media in general, it's the 3 C's, creative, content, consistently, right? But the question is what's creative and what works? The answer, the easiest answer to give to people is you throw shit against the wall and see if it sticks.
People, at least our channel, they like the raw shit. They like the negotiations. They like me. Like there's a couple of videos that right now I'm not sure if I'm going to post because they're very like me yelling at a client because they're basically yelling at me that the house isn't sold yet. They want results. They want to fire me and they're being disrespectful. So sometimes you want to be very careful of what you post.
Yeah, that's a fine
You want to
line.
talk about being careful? Have you seen fucking Sneakergate with the whole Trump thing
that's
that went down with the sneakers?
Yes. I can only imagine what you're saying too.
That's the thing you have to be ready to deal with. You have to have very, very thick skin.
Yeah.
Number one advice, people starting YouTube, number one advice I give them, Loretta? Don't read the comments.
Don't read the comments.
Yeah.
Oh my God, you'll cry.
Well, I read them for the first few weeks when I had like very little.
And you lost some sleep.
I'm like, this is crazy. I was responding. I'm trying to respond to each one. And then after I spoke with you, you're like, or don't delete them, just let them be. And it's only going to obviously grow because there's a lot of hate. There's a lot of love.
You have to consider.
You got to take the good with the bad.
You're putting yourself out there in a space like YouTube.
Right.
To the world. Right. And you have to consider that majority of people that watch you are not your clients or even potential clients.
No.
They're there for what? YouTube also provides entertainment.
Entertainment.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Imagine if you could watch a fucking Netflix shows and had the ability to comment.
Right.
Imagine Game of Thrones and fucking having the ability to comment.
Oh my God.
Can you imagine the comments there?
I can only
It
imagine.
would be crazy.
But it's the same thing if you think about it, right? It's a form of entertainment that you're putting in front of the masses that you do not know. And what the idea is that you create your content in a way, you shape your content in a way to where you're attracting the right kind of eyes. Not everybody's interested in watching videos about watches or real estate for that matter.
Right.
For you, I think it's easier and better because it's a bigger space, but the downside is that you have more competition.
Well, I think with all this, we're local. I think you were.
But you're not so local anymore, Joe. You're fucking Jersey. You're Miami. You're Philadelphia area. You're not that local. You have two major metropolitan areas covered, where real estate is fucking booming, and then you also have New Jersey now, and it's the Jersey Shore, also not a cheap area.
Right. Well, what we're trying to do is branch out because again, we don't want to be redundant and we want to stay relevant. So if I continue just doing Bucks County, we do Bucks County. Eventually, okay, Bucks County is great. It's a beautiful place, but Miami's even more beautiful.
I remember a fucking laugh years ago. I told him about, there was a misconception, still is a bit of a misconception. Joey deals with $1 million homes, and Joey doesn't deal with Joey doesn't shy away from renting an apartment to somebody for $3,000 a month. Your company does everything.
Right.
But the general consensus is Joey does $1 million house.
Not a lot of people know that.
So what you have to understand, but from a business perspective, forget content. From a business perspective, how many times I told you had a couple of kids working here, and I told you take that kid and make him the king of Ben Salem, where the average price point is less. Take this kid, make him the king of Northeast, where
Right.
the average price points are less, right? Less affluent areas, less affluent properties. But you can use the same concept in business sense that you guys have in order to be able to diversify within a certain price point.
Right.
Right. And I told you this numerous times. This is before content. Some of the stuff that you deal with and the putting it out there like that is sensitive. You're dealing with clients, you're dealing with certain regulations from the real estate commission and things like that. So I understand all that.
I mean, I got fined again today.
I mean, we're like
I got
this.
another fine today because I have a new listing went live because the pictures that Maya put together when he sent them to me, we uploaded them to MLS. It says Bograd team at the bottom.
It's
you can't
$5,000 fine.
Not 5,000, 500. Again, and I tried to appeal it.
I mean, 500, yeah.
For 500, can you keep the Bograd team on there?
No,
No.
they already
It'll
took
be
them down.
flipped.
I would have paid
500
it. I would have
a day.
paid it for every listing.
No,
Listen,
well,
it's at the point where if Joe farts, he gets a $5,000
I'm
fine
on the
from the
actual
MLS.
real estate. So you want to hear this crazy shit? Every 2 years, a realtor has to do, continuing education. Right now, Joe Bograd is the continuing education.
He's a question
I'm a
on
question.
the-
Because I got screwed because people complain about my billboard that the Remax Elite has to be bigger than Joe Bograd's name. And my billboards, initially when I was marketing, everything
So
was
at which point did we go from Remax Elite to
just Bograd
to just
team?
Bograd?
Well, that's the next
to
step.
a Ryan Serhan or a Joe Bograd.
That's the next step.
that's-
By the way, I drove by. You know his offices. His office is on the way to Lincoln Tunnel out of Manhattan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Serhan's.
He has the huge
And-
ass. Yeah.
And I'm the huge S.
Yeah.
It's so never mind that particular intersection, especially during fucking peak hours
Yeah.
or traffic jams.
Yeah.
Gets a million fucking cars a day that drive by, if not more. So that entire office is a corner building.
Mm-hmm.
All the windows, and all the windows says Sirhan in big fucking
Yep.
letters.
Yeah.
There's a big S hanging. There's another sign here, and I saw a video clip of him somewhere. I don't forget where he said, "Why am I here? Because 10 million people see Sirhan
Yep.
per day.
Yeah.
It's a numbers game.
He is a
right?
marketing machine. I give him a lot of
I
credit.
mean, he did have a hell of a jump start with $1 Million List.
Yeah.
But listen, look at Frederick. He's big. Look at Josh Holtman. He's big.
They were doing well in their. Wait a minute. Hold on a second. They were doing well in their nooks because those nooks were $1 million plus. They went over the top because $1 million
But
listing.
they did not take their name to the next level. Josh Flagg, he's big in Beverly Hills. but
Josh
he-
Flagg doesn't need to go any further. I mean,
I
Josh
get it.
Flagg is very comfortable.
But
Josh,
listen,
I agree with what Joe is saying.
He's-
I see what he's saying.
Sirhan understands how to take
He's a marketing genius. I think
He
he's
is.
amazing.
perfect example to gateway into these fucking sneakers that happened to me, right?
3 days ago, as you guys may have already seen, I bought these Trump shoes at a sneaker con here in Philadelphia.
I didn't mean for it to happen, right? But when it did happen, we were able to capitalize, right? When your name is in the spotlight,
As
and
you
this is
should.
a different type of spotlight, right? Where we're able to capitalize, get on the right shows, talk about the right,
Right.
things, and so on and so forth, right?
Yeah.
And again, this is something that happened by accident.
why don't you tell everybody about what happened with these sneakers?
Sneakergate?
Yes,
These
we want to hear about Sneakergate.
Guys, do you want to hear about
For the
Sneakergate?
umpteenth time, I want to hear
I
it.
bought a pair of sneakers, met Donald Trump. That's the first. That's the ending, and that's the beginning. But I'll
Yeah.
give you in between. So you guys know my son Marcus. He lives in Miami. He went to University of Miami. He stayed there, and he's been in the sneaker business since he was 14 years old. So about a year ago, because of the content he started creating, he wasn't stubborn when he opened his retail side of his business. He opened up a YouTube channel, hired a videographer right away.
He did everything that Roman told him to do when Roman told him no.
It didn't take me 2 years.
I think we
to
actually
convince
started
him.
around the same time. Right?
He's doing better. Long story
He
short,
is.
he's younger and prettier, I guess. But anyway,
100%, without a doubt.
with that said, he made a contract with SneakerCon. SneakerCon is the OG
Right.
trade show for sneakers. They're the first.
Is it always in
biggest.
Philly or no? Is it changed
No,
every year?
they travel as far as Singapore. What do you
No,
mean? Hong
okay,
Kong.
I just-
I think it goes to a lot of cities.
No, but there is one in Philly every year.
Yeah.
Okay, that's my
Of course.
question.
It's like Comic-Con.
Yeah, exactly. So you have Philly, you have New York, they have certain resident cities that they go to, Hong Kong,
Right.
Singapore. And anyway, so the year came around where it was Philly's turn, and Marcus has a spot. He's contracted to do 6 of them per year.
Mm-hmm.
One of them is Philadelphia. Son is coming home for 2.5 days.
Mm-hmm.
Mom is happy, dad is happy. What's SneakerCon? I get to spend an entire day with my son, and I'm a fucking sneakerhead. I love sneakers.
Right.
I have 200 fucking pairs of sneakers,
Right.
And every time I go there, I'll look for like a rare pair. I'll haggle with people. It's fun, and I get to hang out with my son. First SneakerCon we attended, Marcus was 12 years old. I have a picture somewhere. It's like him and Brandon Kalikman, about this big. But anyway, we're sitting there, and then after we already made plans and I knew that I was going there, we find out there's a tweet that goes out that Donald Trump is going to be
At SneakerCon.
At SneakerCon. Of course, Joey starts crying because he doesn't like him. I'm fucking going great.
I'm jumping in your trunk.
I know you're on my side, but anyway, this isn't political, right? I'm excited. Get to see Donald Trump in person. I've never done that.
Right.
And to be fair, any president, it's how often do people are in the same room as a president, right?
Correct.
Or watch him speak live. You usually see this shit on TV. I'm like, all right, cool. Whatever. Show is going on. Secret fucking service everywhere. We do want to talk about anal cavity searches to get in there. Now, meanwhile, we were walking in the morning as vendors. Now, these vendors, they come in with hundreds of boxes of shoes.
They all had to be wanted.
Every fucking box was checked, sniffed, went through like an airport security kind of thing. I ran into like a fan of mine from the YouTube channel. He's a dignitary detail for the Philadelphia Police Department. They look like Secret Service suits, ties, earpiece, the whole. He's like, they prepared for 2 weeks. Secret Service came in a week prior.
Yeah, just they got to do the sweep and all that
20-minute appearance, right? So, long story short, Donald Trump finally comes on about 3:30. Before he comes on, they put a thing on the screen that says GetTrumpSneakers.com. So the whole thing was, I didn't even know about this. The whole thing was he came to SneakerCon to announce the release of his gold sneakers. And perfectly so. You're in the biggest convention in the world, it's SneakerCon. If you're going to announce and drop sneakers, this is a perfect place to do it.
Marketing.
Right?
Yeah.
Well, I think there's more behind it if you consider Philadelphia County and the votership for Trump versus not for Trump.
It's an election year.
It's an election year. But the point is to drop sneakers, this is the best place to be. And at the same token, you're now catering to a crowd that normally doesn't vote for you. Philadelphia County is not very red. Let's just say that. Anyway, he does his little speech. It was impossible to hear because rowdy crowd. It was about 85% positive for Trump, about 15% negative. You had this one fucking idiot girl, I don't know. And what killed me the most is that I knew that she came there for the sole purpose of like just talking shit to Trump.
Just haggling him.
Because when you're at a trade show, you know how you can be in a room and you can know, oh, that guy's a real estate broker and this one is not?
Yeah,
You can just tell, right? Well, the sneakerheads is the same thing. They dress a certain way. You usually show out with like the best pair of sneakers you have.
And a Supreme sweatshirt.
She looked nothing like a sneakerhead. She was there simply for every 15 fucking seconds during the speech to scream out some obnoxious shit towards her. There were two Philly girls. I thought that they were Trump fans because they both had crop shirts that said Trump won. So I figured they were for Trump. They almost fucking strangled her. They literally had to walk away because they were about to strangle her. But besides the point, he does a speech. Meanwhile, as the sign goes up before he even comes on, I'm like, these things are going to sell out. $400 a pair. I go online, I order one. Lo and behold, they sold out instantly, 1,000 pairs. So I order myself the regular pair in size 10. I'm like, hey, it's a cool trinket. Donald Trump sneakers. Put it up on the shelf somewhere. It's cool.
Right.
Didn't think anything of it. He does a speech. He leaves. I go back to the booth. My guy Kevin that works for me.
Yeah.
You know how he's like overly excited. The Philly special, right? He calls me up. Like, Roman, okay, you gotta come here. Okay, auction, one of a kind, sign, Trump, this, that. I'm like, bro, what are you talking about? He's like, just come back to the stage.
Right.
Now at this point, Trump is gone. I see a crowd in front of the stage, and the kids from Culture Kicks, the sneaker company, holding up a pair of these sneakers, and one of them is signed. And this is the friends and family pair. So usually when there's a sneaker release, they do like a small batch of friends and family. This is sneakers they usually give away to friends and family.
But this is one pair.
But those are the ones that are the most collectible and they resell for the most, right? So all these sneakerheads, they always go for the friends and family sneakers.
Because they're special.
The difference in price could be 10x, right? Like if a shoe's 100, a friends and family would be 1,000, right? Because there's usually a number, there's a limited edition. And these were numbered to 50, right? So this is one of the friends and family, and it was signed by Donald Trump on one of the sneakers. And I'm like, what's going on? He's like, it's an auction. Asshole Roman comes up to the stage, raises his hand to bid. They're like, no, it's on the Whatnot app. I'm like, on a what? On a Whatnot app. So I go on my phone. I'm like, what? Whatnot? I have the Whatnot app. I have an account. I'm like, oh shit. And then I remembered, I'm into Formula One. So I collect Formula One cars. I remember one time joining something on Whatnot for Formula One cars, and I created an account. My credit card was tied to it. It was great. Right. So I'm sitting there, I'm bidding. 1,000, 1,500, it gets down to last 10 seconds. And now I'm bidding against like two guys. Now, the problem with these type of apps is it's like you get into it and like, oh, this guy's not going to fucking have. Meanwhile, you have no idea who's bidding against you.
Right,
It's just usernames. So finally, I'm bidding. I get up to $9,000. That ends up being the winning bid. Kevin is fucking doing backflips. Oh my God. Some lady comes to me, phone in my face. And then I'm used to it. And everybody's recording this stuff, right? As it's happening. My Marcus's friends is like, oh, Mr. Sharf, you're great. I keep going. But in the back of my head, it's like, I think they're worth at least 10 grand. I win. Some lady comes up to me and sticks the phone in my face. So tell me what you did. I was like, yeah, I won. He said, how much did you pay? $9,000. Lo and behold, I find out that account has 2.5 million followers on Twitter or X. I go back to the booth again. The young gentleman comes up. He's like, hi, I'm from the Trump's team. Would you mind coming back and talking to us? I'm like, to the president? He's like, no, he's already left. So another guy comes up to me and he's like, I'm such and such from the Trump team. I wanted just to get a quick video for you. I said, great. So tell me. I was like, yeah, I won these pair of sneakers. I paid $9,000. I'll be wearing them in November when Donald Trump wins. And that's when Sneakergate starts. Yeah. Now I'm going to back up. While I'm at the booth, before I went to even talk to the other guy, some guy walked up to me and offered me 12 grand because everybody's saying, oh, it's such a stupid buy. And I'm just like 30% profit in under 5 minutes. That's not bad.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm okay for now, right? Because and this is what the point that people don't understand when they tell me, oh, why did you think they were worth this? Or what was the without knowing what's going to happen afterwards, every collector, right? Whether it's a watch collector, and you can attest to this because you collect watches. Whether it's me collecting Formula One cards, whether it's me buying a fucking Formula One card that's hanging in my office that you guys have seen, right? In the back of our head, we're always saying, okay, I'm spending X amount of money on this expensive thing, but there's a value attached to it and a potential of going up in value. I go to the interview, and that's when the shit hits the fan. Man pays $9,000 for Trump. No, wait. It goes from man buys ugly pair of sneakers for $9 grand. What a fucking idiot. To a Russian man, to a Russian CEO, to a Russian oligarch, to a lady on Twitter going, shady Russian watch dealer pays $9,000 for a pair of sneakers to filter Trump's money to Putin.
Yeah.
And I wrote to her, I'm like, I was born in Ukraine, number one. Number two, I raised over $250,000 of aid to Ukraine when the war started. You're barking up the wrong fucking tree, check your facts, right? I was very polite about it. And it just, the media took off. I was in Hindustan news. I was in Australian news.
You know how corrupt, how everything media driven, you can never believe anything you see. But when you actually see it firsthand, and somebody can say these kind of things, that's when it's kind of like, you see it in reality, how it's so easy for the media to totally go in a different direction.
Or destroy somebody. So what does Roman do? Because Roman is used to the haters. And, there's YouTube channels out there that are dedicated to talking shit about me and they're making money off of it. So I guess that's when you know you made it.
Sure.
So long story short, the guy, I go on Instagram, I create a 2-minute video telling people that, look at what media has done, right? Meanwhile, I'm a U.S. Army veteran. I originally came from Ukraine. I bleed red, white, and blue, and so on and so on and so forth. And I gave a beautiful rebuttal to everybody. And started with, I bought a pair of sneakers, because that's all I did is I bought a pair of collectible sneakers.
Right.
After that video goes out, it goes viral. It gets picked up by other places, gets reposted everywhere. Now everybody starts issuing apologies. Of course, like the Daily Mail UK, the ones that said Russian oligarch, they changed it to Ukrainian refugee. And I'm just like, how about just a guy buys a pair of sneakers? Yeah. How about, why is this even news, right?
Right.
As a result, every news network under the sun, from Fox to Newsweek to OAN to Piers Morgan to you name it, I have lost count on how many interviews. In fact, I have one after this. I have one this morning. I have one tonight. I'm going to be on Fox Business tomorrow. It's insanity. One of the producers, hey Roman, congratulations on winning the sneakers. By the way, would you mind bringing them for the episode? I'm like, my response, I was like, yeah, I was waiting for you to email me, right? Because listen, it's hot news, right? And this went on all last week. This went on all this week. It's going crazy. But the best part about it is that so obviously President Trump watched all the news about the sneakers, and that was the most trending article. So he saw that. And one of his aides showed him my response video on Instagram when they were flying from Michigan to wherever on the plane. He looked at it. He's like, I like this guy. I want to meet him. I get a phone call Tuesday. It says, hey, Mr. President saw your video. He liked the story. He would like to meet you. Would you like to go? Yeah. Right? So long story short, are you in Florida? I'm like, no, I'm actually in Philadelphia. He goes, well, maybe we'll meet at CPAC in Maryland. It happened last weekend. I'm like, sure, it's an easy drive for me. I'll be there. Get a phone call Wednesday, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. We're thinking that CPAC is going to be a little bit too busy. And it's crazy at these conventions, right?
Yeah.
And he's like, maybe you can make your way out to Florida. I'm like, when? Tomorrow.
Okay.
1 o'clock. I'm like, hold on. Called Amex. Literally ran out of the office. I called the driver we both used. The guy takes us to the airport. I'm like, listen, I have a flight out of Newark at 8, whatever. I'm like, when do we have to leave? He goes, well, when is it? Tomorrow? No, today. He's like, now. I get on the plane. I get there. We drive out to West Palm Beach. On the way, I do an interview with Piers Morgan about it, literally on the way to meet the president. And my thought process, I come in, quick photo op, right? What would you think? Photo op with the sneakers, 5 minutes, hello, maybe you sign a hat or something, and I'm done.
Right.
Marcus, this boy, we come in there wearing suits. And it's Trump International Golf. You're a golfer, Joe. I'm not a golfer.
Pristine.
No,
Meticulous.
you don't understand. Well, it's $500,000 a year to play that.
I heard, yeah.
And Trump built it from scratch. It was like swampland or something. And there's waterfalls, there's lakes, there's this, and it's a really good course. Like everybody you spoke with, it's a good golf course to play. I should probably learn how to play golf.
You should.
Well, we have another charity thing coming up, so I'm gonna have to take some practice lessons or something. But anyway, I get there. One of the aides comes out, shows me around, shows me to the room on the left. He's like, "Yeah, this is where ladies play cards in the afternoon, have some tea." It was like 20-1. I looked in. There's about I don't know, $40 million worth of plastic surgeries. They're all 78 going on 40, right? Walking around, just and memorabilia everywhere because Trump has been everywhere. He's been in every magazine. He's got signatures from, there's a big ass gold boxing glove signed by Tyson, a helmet signed by Dan Marino, because he has to keep that stuff somewhere, and he has so much of it, right? Finally, I'm thinking, all right, now what? So, and meanwhile, we go outside to look at the outside, and he's teeing off on the last hole. The last hole is usually the closest to the clubhouse. So we go into the clubhouse, the place where people have lunch, about 20 tables in one room, maybe 30 tables in another room. Beautiful scenery. You see all the golf course patio. And I'm thinking, okay. He goes, well, have a seat. The president will be right there. I'm sitting at his table. I'm like, okay. Comes off the golf course. Comes in. Mr. President, nice to meet you. My son, nice to meet you. Comes in with like 4 guys that he played golf with. There was 3 guys that he played with, and then me, and another extra guy that sat there. And I'm thinking, okay. All right, let's grab some lunch. So tell me about this whole sneaker thing, right? People often ask me, like, why go with Trump? You asked me the same question. And my thing was, it's because he's not a politician. He's a normal human being. And Joe, let me tell you something. Imagine me and you and a couple of other friends playing around a golf, going into the clubhouse, grabbing a beer, grabbing lunch, and shooting the shit. This is exactly how it was for an hour and 45 minutes. We talked about politics. We talked about business. We talked about sneakers. Fucking President of the United States, 78-year-old man, talking to my 20-year-old son for like 10 minutes, getting his take on the sneakers that he put out. And I'm just like, am I in a matrix? Like, this guy is literally getting input from my 20-year-old kid, right? The other guys at the table were really cool. Every few minutes, somebody came up. For some, he signed hats. For some, he took pictures with, and so on and so forth. F-bombs dropping left and right. Like a really casual conversation. Guy sitting next to me, I'm like, you fucking look familiar. He's like, because I had no idea who the other guys were.
Who's with him?
I'm like, I didn't know the other 3 guys. But the other guy, I'm like, you look really familiar. He's like, well, I'm Andrew Giuliani. I'm like, oh shit, that's he ran for governor in New York, Rudy Giuliani's son. Yeah. And as a result, he yesterday I was in his podcast or his show, whatever it was. But it was the most casual conversation I've had. Now let me tell you something. You sat there, you felt the presence of a boss. It was like a scene out of a Godfather movie. Corner table, everybody coming up, paying tribute. You could tell, by the way, who was regular people, who were politicians, because the talk was completely different.
Yeah.
Right.
Like the politicians had a completely different approach to him. It was all like gun home, Mr. President, right? And the other guys was like, hey, Mr. President, how are you? And you felt the presence of a boss, but not for a second did me or my son feel belittled or anybody that came around. I didn't try to push conversation. I didn't try to bring anything up because I realized that I'm in a situation where you have a bunch of friends that just finished playing golf, having lunch. President had his burger, Coke, and fries. This is what he eats. And I just let the conversation flow. And it was amazing. And the most amazing thing was, we went to Mar-a-Lago afterwards. The president had some other meetings, but the aide took me to Mar-a-Lago. And I mean, this property, they said it's worth $18 million. They need to add a 0. This thing is, it's 20 acres of land. It's the corner lot where West Palm Beach starts, right over the bridge. Croquet court, beach club with a tunnel leading to it, bungalows everywhere. Ballroom the size of this, bigger than this entire building where they hold events and stuff like that. The main house has its own pool. There's a full-blown professional spa there. That's a money-making property. The events that take place there. There's a store next to the spa where you can buy like Trump stuff. Like I bought Anna and Gia a couple of like robes and shit. But the property was amazing. After that, I was like, I really have to go. We got ourselves 3 signed hats. Me, Marcus, and gave one to Kevin because if it wasn't for Kevin,
you would have never, right.
But going back to what I keep staying away from was, We get out of there, the adrenaline wears off a little bit. We have to stop by and get gas. I was running super late to my fucking flight. Marcus gets in and comes like, son, can I ask you a question? He's like, what's up? I'm like, is there anybody else I can get you to meet? He's like, you know what, Dad, this one is going to be a little fucking tough to beat, right?
Yeah.
I got to meet the President of the United States in a casual environment, break bread with him for an hour and 45 minutes with my son. I just entered a whole different genre of marketing, and that's PR. This is a different ballgame, right? PR and marketing as we do it is a whole different ballgame. It's something new to us, it's something new to the company. Now, we've had some PR in the past, some articles. I've been in Watch Pro magazine, I've been interviewed by Watch Publication, again, within my niche space, kind of like you just went to this award thing. What is it? That I got 50,000 fucking invitations via email.
Symposium.
So first of all, can you do something for 15 fucking years or more? I've been in your email database twice, so I get double every email I get. And this real estate symposium with Joe was the big deal, and he was on stage. I got, I don't know, 46 invitations for that.
I think this is going out on a weekly basis.
Finally I forwarded him the email. I'm like, look, you know what? I was considering going,
but now I'm not.
But now I'm not because I got 46 fucking invitations from you. You need to tweak your email.
We're in the process of tweaking.
That was the day I went to see the President Trump, by the way.
You've been saying this for 5 years about the, just so you know, about the email.
I mean, to be fair, I am a client.
For 15 years.
I was doing the math the other day, actually.
Oh.
And I think collectively, between investment properties, buying, selling houses, we're pushing 20 million in business, Joe.
I think at least.
At least.
Not to mention how much we saved you.
By switching to Geico?
I brought you one of your buyers. Maybe two.
When I say you, I mean you.
Let's see.
collectively.
No, not me.
Why?
I mean,
Why? You helped Marcus. What? It's been a group effort. I mean, between
You
the properties
brought
in
buyers
Richboro.
for some of my investment properties?
Yeah.
Yeah.
My favorite's Joey's story. Listen to this shit. So, company's growing. My favorite story. My favorite Joey story of all time. Company's growing, and we had the office on Camar's where Marcus's warehouse is now. It was 2,400 square feet or so, and 2 stories. Nice. We sat there and we started outgrowing it. We needed a bigger space, so we slowly started looking. We weren't in any rush. Finally, so we found the space that we're in now. Joe, what do you think? It was $1,690,000. I'm like, what do you want to do? I'm like, listen, I think $1.7 million is a little much. Like, can we come in with an offer of $1.1 million? Come in $1.1 million, they come back $1.6 million. We go up to, I think, $1.2 million, $1.2 million or $250,000, whatever, somewhere around the 1.1 area. This, that, and the other. They're like, no, absolutely not. $1.6 million is the best. And meanwhile, it's a vacant property, bank owned.
Right.
This is a verbal conversation me and the other realtor having, I think.
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken. Yeah.
So like back and forth, not happening.
Yeah.
Right. I'm like, you know what? That was literally the first building that we saw that may have worked for us. Right.
It was 18,000 square
We're gonna
feet.
keep looking. This is
big.
probably beginning of summer, right? Maybe middle of summer. Yeah. We're not in a rush. We have an office. It's working. We still have space. This is future growth type of thing. Back and forth. We're still looking. And at that point, like, we're not really finding anything, right? December comes around. This one calls me. He's like, listen. He's like, they called me from the bank. And I'm like, I think they want to get rid of this property.
Now they want to get rid of it.
They want to get rid of it, and we'll get it off the books by the end of the year, I guess. I'm like, so go back to them with this 1.1 or 1.2, whatever the last offer was. Will they take that? Joe goes, yeah, I'm going to speak to them. I'm like, I think I'm going to offer him a little less. I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, I'm going to offer him 800. I'm like, it was listed for 1.7.
Right.
I'm like, you out of your fucking mind. I want to buy the property. This is my words. I want to buy the property.
Don't screw me
Don't piss him off, because at this point I've been looking and not really finding anything. This is a really nice building. He's like, Roman, what do you do for a living? I'm like, I sell watches. He's like, well, sell watches.
Stay in your lane.
Stay in your lane, right? I'm like, Joe, this is fucking stupid. Long story short, offers him 800. They come back with the original, I think 1.2 or 1.1, whatever it was. I'm like, okay, so take it. I'll do the 1.1 or the 1.2, whatever that I wanted to pay, because it made sense. 20,000 square feet, perfect building, secure.
Right.
Used to be a bank.
And you're
perfect.
not in the city.
Not in the city. Perfect for my.
I'm like, Roman, hold tight.
He goes, no, it's too much. I'm like, Joe, I don't want to lose this. I'm okay with the price. He's like, no. Goes back to him for $850. I'm like, you out of your fucking mind? You trying to piss these people off? I'm never gonna get this fucking building. Back and forth. Long story short, he fucking buys the building for $880,000. I was willing to pay 1.2.
Yep.
I probably would have went up to 1.3. And this is a good example when sometimes you got to put your clients in check and say, like, look, go sell watches. I'm gonna do. I ended up buying it. It was just appraised for $2.8 million. The fucking building.
Crazy. Crazy. This is exactly 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, 10 years ago.
11
years ago.
11 years ago.
2000, what, 12?
Yeah, it was 11 years ago. And till this day, I remember the story. And then when people ask me, they're like, when it comes to, because Russians, we're all about like hookups. Yeah, I know this guy, I know that guy, especially when you're a Russian oligarch.
And you're, yeah, and you're all
I know the construction guy, I know the plumbing guy, I know this guy, and this guy. People always ask me, and I refer them everywhere. And I tell them that the one thing you have to understand when it comes to, whether it's a real estate agent, a plumber, I don't care, a mechanic, I said, one thing I live by is that you let people do what they do. Because if you are reaching out to somebody as a professional in whatever industry it might be, you can't be micromanaging, you can't be, and I hate that when it comes to my business sometimes. Sometimes I get these clients that, perfect example, Roman, I want to sell up a collection, $2 million collection, I go through it, this, that, and the other, I offer them a number. They're like, you know what, I don't really need the money, I would like to net a little bit more, how about I consign them to me, maybe I'll net an extra 5-10%. I'm in no rush. Okay, fine. I take the stuff in on consignment, and that's when it starts. Like, maybe you should this, maybe you should post it this way, maybe you should do it.
No, you know what you're doing.
I'm like, how about I just write you a check initially as I planned and leave me alone?
Right.
But you gotta let pros do what they do, and especially if you're confident that they do it well, you gotta allow for error because fuck ups will happen. You know what I mean? Joey fucked up on a couple of things. Actually, I can't think. Where did you fuck up? I can't think of much where you fucked up.
Not that I remember. I don't think I fucked up.
I
At least not with
No, he
you.
did.
I have a whole steno book.
No, you didn't.
Dates,
He never
times.
really fucked up. Nothing ever went wrong with me.
Not good with.
Any real estate transaction we've ever done, nothing ever really went wrong.
We've had a good
it's been a clean
For the
sheet.
most part, I think we've done pretty well, pretty consistent. Whether it's been with you or clients of ours, it's a very tough business.
Listen,
sales in general.
People always ask me, like, as your company grows, and right now we have 35 employees sitting in that office, and it's like, how do you deal with that? Because it's a lot easier when you're a basement operation, a one-man band, when you're every department. But then you have to start to delegate. The first thing you have to learn is not to micromanage.
Right,
And
how
then-
to let it go.
And then the second thing you have to understand, my favorite thing, not going to mention names, a guy walks, a higher up walks through the shipping department carrying a big-ass box. The shipping guy is sitting there, right? And he's kind of struggling with the box. You can tell it's heavy. And just sees him walk by, doesn't get up, doesn't do anything, just keeps sitting, doing his thing on the computer. The guy comes in, this asshole's sitting there as I'm walking by with him. Why doesn't he get up and help me? And I explained to him, I said, that's because you didn't tell him to.
Yeah, get the fuck up and help me with this.
I said, you looked at him and said, I need help. He will get up and do it.
Right.
I said, you have to utilize your resources to the utmost of their abilities, okay, with an acceptable margin of error. That's what you do, right? And you have to be able to deal with that error, because what happens is that your expectation normally when you build a team around you is for them to be you, and that never happens.
Yeah, it never
because
happens.
if that shipping guy had the same skill set as you would, he'd be sitting in an office next to you.
Right.
But he's packing boxes, right? And my shipping guy probably gets paid more than double than an average shipping guy in any company gets paid. You know why? Because he's good at what he does, and that's packing boxes, not making mistakes, making sure everything gets out on time.
Yeah.
Right? That's why put it this way, he sometimes does the job of 3 people. That he gets paid accordingly, but I'd rather have one person that can do that than 3 people that are half-assed.
Right.
And make mistakes, right? But again, this is the hardest thing to do when you grow a team, I feel like. And I've seen it with him.
We've had growing pains.
We
still have growing
because me
pains.
and him, we talk in the mornings, and he's like, this fucking guy did this, and this guy did that. I said, Joe, welcome to running a team. If you can't deal with this now, don't grow a team.
I've been dealing with
Stay
it
fucking
since day
solo.
one.
Stay solo, because otherwise, but then your company won't grow. It's just going to be you. You're going to be the
We've been
bottleneck.
through a lot of growth, and I'd rather keep the way things are right now.
Turnover sucks.
Turnover sucks, but I think right now we have a great crew. It's not huge. It's perfect. We have 6 full-time agents, and we have a few team members that are on the back staff, the admin staff, and I wouldn't have it any other way. No, admin staff.
Back office.
Back
Back
office.
office, we call it.
Back
Yes.
admin office. What? Go ahead.
It's a broken English.
I know what you're saying, Joe.
Yeah.
And then you have to keep a happy medium between support staff versus sales, and to ensure that those expenses don't go up to where they don't pay for themselves. It's a juggling act. I get it. I deal with this all the time because I do have sales and I do have.
But it's
supporting
also
staff.
reliability, finding the right people that work. It's how I was very fortunate when we found Loretta and Marie and Linda, and there's
You
been
mean when she walked into the office, they threw all these fucking resumes out? You found
I'm
the
your
fucking
girl.
person.
I'm your girl.
Dunkin' Donuts, yes. But
The one thing I always hear you being scared of in your business is that I bring somebody on, I input time, effort, training, money into an individual. They learn, and then they leave out on their own. This is a very big thing in the real estate agent
100%.
industry. To which I told you, I said, you put together a system in place where you take somebody, you can plug somebody in just as easy as you can plug them out, and you make it a place to where you put a system in place by the use of media, by the use of marketing, to where they know that they won't be as successful a real estate agent if they leave here and they go to a different place that doesn't have what you have. 100%. It's the same thing in my company. I have a ton of salespeople, right? And the first thing is, they're going to learn. It's very easy to go out on your own in my business too, because my salespeople have access to all the vendors. They know the market, they know the prices, they have clients. It's a very personal business, right? They could just leave and do it on their own.
Take their clients with them, yeah.
And a few have tried and they failed. And the reason they failed is because the reason my salespeople are successful in my company is because of the systems I put in place. And this is the systems this is literally SOP, standard operating procedures, that tell them, hey, this is the best way to go about it. I have all the tools in place, the softwares that I have, as well as the social media exposure. Because internet's memory is short-lived. If you're on the screen every single week and you have a social media team posting stuff for you on a daily basis and creative content, you go out on your own, you lose all that. And you become irrelevant really, really quickly. And this is why I kept pushing all of this on you to a point to where if tomorrow I announce I'm hiring another salesperson, I can run a fucking contest. And I did, if you remember. I had 148
Can I send my resume to your personal email or your Luxury Bazaar
You can just stop by.
email? Or I'll print it off.
But yeah, I don't know where this podcast went into. It went
Well,
from,
I mean, I think a lot of good discussions today, from the sneaker con to real estate, marketing, advertising, looking for new hires. So we have a lot that got accomplished today. So I just want to say thank you for coming out, man.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming out.
Why are you touching me?
I only came because of Loretta, right?
I know you did. I know. But guys, thank you very much. Thanks for joining us here at the Boom Room Unfiltered with our special guest, Roman Sharf and Loretta Starr. Stay tuned for the next episode.
Let's do it again. All right.
Bye-bye.